Chapter 72, The Jubilee, Part 6. Leviticus 25, 47 to 55. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is nigh of kin unto him of his family may redeem him, or if he be able, he may redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him that brought him from the year that he was sold to him unto the year of the Jubilee, and the price of his sale shall be according unto the number of years, according to the time of an hired servant shall it be with him. If there be yet many years behind, according to them he shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was brought for. And if there remain but few years unto the year of Jubilee, then he shall count with him, and according unto his years shall he give him again the price of his redemption. And as a yearly hired servant shall he be with him, and the other shall not rule with rigour over him in thy sight. And if he be not redeemed in these years, then he shall go out in the year of the Jubilee, both he and his children with him. For unto me the children of Israel are servants, they are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 25, 47 to 55. A book published in August 1987, written in 1986, Jubilee on Wall Street, an optimistic look at the coming financial crash by David Knox Barker, gives a biblical perspective on the work of Nikolai D. Kondratiev. He points to the overall teaching of Scripture about human nature and to specific passages about God's provision of the Jubilee every 50 years in Old Testament times to correct economic imbalances. In contrast, the author of the new book notes the free market has no such safety valve, so it experiences a crash about every 50 years. These economic perspectives are excellent and necessary, but we must remember that the doctrine of the Jubilee is essentially theological. It sets forth the governing facts of God and His law as dominant in every sphere, economics included. Thus, the understanding of the Jubilee as well as of economics is theological. Briefly stated, there is more to any economic transaction than man and man's economic planning. There is always God and His law under and over all. Next, the Jubilee law is family-oriented. On the human level, the family is the basic social and economic fact. In Leviticus 25, 47 to 55, we have the case of a poor Israelite who goes into servitude to a foreigner. The law governs the alien who is living within the borders of Israel. He must be governed by the same law of God as are all others. His bondservants, thus, are subject to redemption and or the Jubilee, whatever the laws of his home country may have been. The laws of slavery over the centuries have varied from country to country. At times, the right to own slaves has been the privilege of the ruling peoples, as in Islam over the centuries. Bush noted early in the last century, "At present, no Christian or Jew in a Mohammedan country is allowed to have as a slave, we will not say any native, but any Mohammedan of any country, nor indeed any other than Mohammedans, except Negroes, who are the only description of slaves they may possess." In Leviticus 25:23, God declares, "The land shall not be sold forever, or in perpetuity, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me." The Hebrew word translated as sold means a sale into slavery. God's earth cannot become enslaved by men, nor can the covenant men to whom He gives the land as stewards thereof be enslaved in perpetuity. Thus, freedom, rest and release are basic to God's plan for man and the earth. It is noteworthy that, while in Exodus 23:11 the sabbatical year is called the seventh year, in Deuteronomy 31:10 it is termed the year of release. Compare Deuteronomy 15:1. The Jubilee is called simply that in Numbers 36:4 there is a reference to land redemption in Ruth 4:3 following. It is presupposed in Isaiah 61:1 following and Isaiah 5:7-10, where it is the basis for judgment. We find it clearly in Ezekiel 46:17. In Jeremiah, instead of a year of release, sinners find a year of visitation or judgment, Jeremiah 11:23, 23:12, 48:44. After the captivity, Nehemiah 5:1-13 recounts efforts to restore the Jubilee laws. In verse 55, it is clearly stated that the covenant people are God's servants. They are, therefore, not permanently to be the servants of men and must redeem themselves or be redeemed as soon as possible. Paul refers to this in 1 Corinthians 7:23. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men? This places an obligation on us, first, to live debt-free, as far as is possible, and providentially. As God's people, we are to be dominion men, not under dominion through debt or any other means. Second, we have an obligation to our family and kin. Paul tells us, But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his house or kindred, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. 1 Timothy 5:8. This means that, among believers, there is a responsibility to care for one another and to relieve distress and debt. This has led to family associations with treasuries to meet needs and provide opportunities within the family. Third, Paul's reference to our own means fellow Christians. Agencies must be created to alleviate need and to make Christians free people. Parker's comments on verse 55 are especially good. He said, in part, For unto me the children of Israel are servants, Leviticus 25:55. This is a remarkable expression as connected with the fact of which God is always reminding the children of Israel, namely, that he brought them out of the house of bondage and out of the land of Egypt. He appears to acquire his hold upon their confidence by continually reminding them that at one period of their history they were bondmen. Now he insists that the men whom he has brought into liberty have been brought only into another kind of service. This is the necessity of finite life. Every liberty is, in some sense, a bondage. Christians are the slaves of Christ. They are burden bearers and yoke carriers, especially under the supervision and sovereignty of the Son of God. Freedom means responsibility. The ugliest fact about slavery is that it diminishes responsibility, even as it diminishes freedom. As Nortsey points out, God declares that a covenant man is his inalienable possession, verse 55. We have here an indication of the doctrine of eternal security. Justice required that the redemption of a bondservant be made with full compensation to the master for the years of service remaining. The law in no way permits either the defrauding of the master or the abuse of the bondservant. As C.D. Ginsburg noted, the authorities during the Second Temple rightly pointed out that this passage enjoins the Hebrew to treat the heathen master fairly by duly compensating and compounding for the number of years he has still to serve till Jubilee, and to take no advantage of the idolater. Leviticus 25, 47-55 is an aspect of the law of the kinsman redeemer, which finds its full expression in Jesus Christ. As very man of very man, He is our kinsman redeemer, and, as very God of very God, He is totally and permanently efficacious in all His works. The Jubilee law gives hope to society when observed. The relentless concentration of land which marks decadent societies is prevented, the family basis of society is maintained, and the central responsibility for social order, government, and relief is plainly delegated to the family. Rather tardily now, we have begun to understand the importance of the family. Karl Zinnmeister has reported, "Within the past several years, it has become generally accepted that family breakdown is now the primary force causing poverty in the US. It took 20 years of furious and bitter debate, however, for the nation to reach that common realization. The process may be said to have begun upon publication of the so-called Moynihan Report in March 1965 and to have ended in January 1986 with the airing of Bill Moyer's CBS broadcast, The Vanishing Family. Unfortunately, the pace of domestic decay accelerated breathtakingly during that period, especially so during the last 7 years. As a result, easy solutions to our poverty and welfare problems lie far beyond reach. The major factor creating poverty in recent years has been the decline of the two-parent family. The whole of biblical law, and especially the Jubilee, requires a familistic society. The failure of Christians to take God's law seriously is a guarantee of impotence," Kellogg wrote. "No one will pretend that the law of the Sabbatic year or the Jubilee is binding on communities now, but it is a question for our times as to whether the basal principle regarding the relation of God to land, and by necessary consequence, the right of man regarding land, which is fundamental to these laws, is not in its very nature of perpetual force. Surely there is nothing in Scripture to suggest that God's ownership of the land was limited to the land of Palestine, or so that land only during Israel's occupancy of it. Instead of this, Jehovah everywhere represents himself as having given the land to Israel, and therefore, by necessary implication, as having a like right over it, while the Canaanites were dwelling in it. Again, the purpose of God's dealing with Egypt is said to be that Pharaoh might know this same truth, that the earth, or land, was the Lord's, Exodus 9:29. And in Psalm 24:1 it is stated, as a broad truth, without qualification or restriction, that the earth is the Lord's, as well as that which fills it. It is true that there is no suggestion in any of these passages that the relation of God to the earth or to the land is different from his relation to other property, but it is intended to emphasize the fact that, in the use of land, as of all else, we are to regard ourselves as God's servants and hold and use it as in trust from him. Such statements have a curious character. It is seen as out of the question that anyone should take God's law seriously, yet these laws have a perpetual force. What does this mean? That man has a right through the state to formulate laws governing property to express that perpetual force. When men replace God's primitive laws with their own wisdom, we had better be fearful. Earlier, reference was made to Barker's Jubilee on Wall Street. Barker shows how anti-inflationary the Jubilee system is. In modern humanistic economics, prices inflate until a collapse sets in because of the debt pyramid, and a slow, painful recovery through depression ensues. Because in the Jubilee economics, the basic wealth, land, is most valuable in the first year after the Jubilee, this inflationary spiral is negated. Land was worth more in year 1 than in year 48, when a sale was valid only for a brief time. As Barker notes, in a Jubilee system, all prices in the economy would have been controlled by having the price for the land constantly falling. Then Barker adds that this means that those elements in modern economics which lead to collapse, debt, prices, and expansion are all controlled by the Jubilee system. All this means that the world of economics is not a man-made world, but a God-created, ordained and governed realm. The only thing that will work therein is the Jubilee. It should be added that, welcome as Barker's book is, he sees Kondratiev as more valid than the Jubilee law. He uses the Jubilee to confirm his vision of free market economics, rather than starting his economic thinking with Scripture. Such an approach does not honour God, nor can it be pleasing to him.